Long time ago, deep within the heart of an ancient forest, there lived a mysterious woman named Kambili. Kambili was no ordinary woman. She had lived in the forest for years, far away from the bustling villages, and over time, she had become more spirit than flesh. Her beauty was haunting, her skin pale as moonlight, her eyes glimmering like the morning dew, and her voice as soft as the rustling leaves. Though Kambili was half human and half spirit, she carried a painful secret. A powerful spell had been cast on her in her youth, binding her to the forest and separating her from the world of humans. She despised humanity, seeing them as cruel and treacherous. Her only solace lay in the solitude of the forest, where she wandered among the ancient trees and whispered to the spirits. Despite her ghostly existence, Kambili would occasionally appear in the village markets, dressed in the finest white wrappers that shimmered like sunlight on water. The villagers were captivated by her presence, especially the men, who whispered in awe of her beauty. "Who is she?" they would ask, but no one had an answer. No one dared to approach her or ask where she came from. Kambili's distant, otherworldly demeanor frightened even the bravest among them. One day, a bold young man decided to follow her after she left the market. He trailed her along the narrow bush paths, determined to discover her secret. But Kambili's spirit sensed his pursuit. Before he could get close, she vanished into thin air, leaving the man bewildered and afraid. In the same village, there lived a young man named Amadi, a struggling hunter, known for his strong build and determined spirit. Amadi had one dream: to provide for his aging parents and earn the respect of his peers. Each morning, he rose before dawn, gathering his hunting tools and venturing into the forest in search of bush meats. The forest, vast and teeming with life, seemed to mock him. Day after day, his traps came up empty, and animals eluded his arrows. His peers, other hunters in the village, returned with heavy bags filled with antelope, bush fowl, and other prized catches. But Amadi always returned home empty-handed, his shoulders slumped in defeat. His mother's face fell when she saw his empty bag, while his father's silence stung like a whip. "Perhaps the spirits are angry with you," one of his friends teased, as they sat drinking palm wine one evening. "Or maybe the animals laugh when they hear you coming," another added, sending the group into fits of laughter. Amadi forced a smile, but their mockery cut deeply. He felt like a failure, burdened by shame and the weight of his parents' growing hunger. At home, the pressure was unrelenting. His father, a respected hunter in his youth, would shake his head and say, "The forest tests a man's patience, Amadi. But patience alone won't fill an empty stomach." Amadi spent sleepless nights staring at the thatched roof of his hut, wondering if he was cursed or simply unworthy. One evening, after another failed hunt, Amadi sat beneath a towering iroko tree, his tools discarded at his side. His stomach growled in protest, and tears of frustration welled in his eyes. "What am I doing wrong?" he whispered into the quiet forest. The shadows deepened as the sun set, and for the first time, Amadi felt completely defeated. It was in this moment of despair that Kambili, hidden in the shadows, took notice of him. For weeks, she had watched him struggle, his determination unbroken despite his failures. Unlike the other hunters, who boasted of their successes, Amadi carried his burdens quietly, never blaming the forest or the spirits. Kambili was moved by his plight. Perhaps, she thought, this man is different. She revealed herself to him, stepping from the shadows in her ghostly beauty. Amadi was startled, but Kambili's soft voice calmed his fears. "Do not be afraid," she said. "I have seen your struggles, and I wish to help you." Kambili pointed him to a specific part of the forest, instructing him on where to set his traps and what rules to follow. "Do not be greedy," she warned. "Take only what you need, and always thank the spirits." That evening, Amadi's fortune changed. His traps caught antelope and guinea fowl, and his arrows found their mark. Overjoyed, he returned to the Iroko tree the next day, leaving a portion of his catch as an offering to Kambili, though he could not see her. With each passing hunt, Amadi's success grew. His bag became heavier with every return, and soon he was the wealthiest hunter in the village. Grateful but curious, Amadi began to suspect that Kambili was the source of his fortune. One evening, he saw her standing under a Udala tree. Her presence startled him, but her beauty left him speechless. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am Kambili, a spirit of this forest," she replied. Amadi fell to his knees, thanking her profusely. But deep within his heart, a new desire was born. He wanted Kambili to be his wife. Amadi began to visit Kambili every evening after his hunt, pleading with her to marry him. At first, she refused. "A union with me comes with great sacrifice," she warned. But Amadi was persistent, swearing that he would do anything to be with her. Finally, Kambili agreed, but on one condition: "You must bring me fresh animal blood every day at sunset for me to bathe with." Amadi agreed without hesitation, confident that his newfound success would make this task easy. Their marriage was secret, witnessed only by the stars and the ancient trees. Together they went to Amadi's home. Every evening, Amadi brought her a bowl of blood, and Kambili performed her ritual, bathing herself with the blood behind a baobab tree in their compound. As time passed, Amadi's wealth and fame grew. He became renowned across neighboring villages as the most successful hunter. But success intoxicated Amadi, and soon he became arrogant. Amadi's arrogance extended to the fellow hunters who had once mocked him during his days of struggle. Now that he was the most successful hunter, he took vengeance on them. With the help of Kambili's spirit powers, Amadi ensured that the forest turned against his rivals. The once thriving traps of his fellow hunters now lay empty, and even their most reliable hunting grounds yielded nothing. Amadi, on the other hand, continued to bring back abundant bush meats, much to their frustration and confusion. "The spirits have cursed us," one hunter lamented during a little gathering. Yet Amadi seems blessed beyond measure. Amadi smirked whenever he overheard their complaints, taking pleasure in their suffering. Amadi paid no attention to his aging parents, who had once relied on him during his days of struggle. Now that he had plenty, he barely visited them or provided for their needs. His mother would often sit at the entrance of their hut, gazing at the road, hoping to see her son return, but Amadi rarely came. Instead, he spent his days flaunting his newfound wealth and showing off Kambili to anyone who cared to look. Yet, despite his display of affection for Kambili in public, his treatment of her in private grew cold. He began to ridicule her, mocking her for her strange rituals and inability to bear him a child. "Of what use are your powers if you cannot even give me a son?" he would sneer, his voice dripping with contempt. Amadi's infidelity soon became a poorly kept secret in the village. He frolicked with other women, sometimes bringing them into the home he shared with Kambili. On other occasions, he spends nights at their houses, leaving Kambili alone in the house, after providing the animal blood he needed to make available. His frustration deepened when one of his mistresses got pregnant, and yet Kambili could not bear him a child. They had waited for years. Blinded by anger, he began to lash out at her, questioning the purpose of her nightly rituals. "What good are your powers if you cannot give me a child?" he shouted one evening. Amadi continues to sought comfort in the arms of other women, abandoning the promises he had made to Kambili. He found solace in drinking and womanizing. One day, he lost track of time while visiting a mistress and forgot to bring Kambili her bowl of blood. By the time he returned home, the sun had set, and Kambili's form was flickering like a dying flame. "You broke your promise," she said, her voice trembling with sorrow. Before his eyes, Kambili transformed into a massive elephant. Kambili was half human, half animal. The bloodbath she had every sunset kept her in human form while in midst of humans. Amadi tried his best to revive her by pouring the bowl of blood on the elephant. By this time, it was already too late. "I cannot return to human form, I am with child," she screamed, her voice echoing from the elephant's form. The elephant trumpeted mournfully before disappearing into the forest. Amadi fell to his knees, overcome with regret and grief. Kambili was pregnant, but he was never around to find out. In the months that followed, his fortunes crumbled. His hunts yielded nothing, and his wealth vanished like smoke in the wind. The villagers, once envious of his success, now pitied him as he scavenged for food. The story of Amadi and Kambili became a cautionary tale across several villages, told for generations. It warned of the dangers of greed and betrayal, reminding all of the importance of loyalty and gratitude. Amadi's fall from grace was a lesson. He who forgets those who help him rise will surely fall. The story of Amadi and Kambili teaches us the importance of gratitude, loyalty, and keeping our promises. When we achieve success through the help of others, it is our duty to honor the commitments we made along the way. Betrayal and ingratitude not only harm those who supported us, but can also lead to our own downfall. True prosperity lies in respecting the relationships and sacrifices that have contributed to our journey. If you enjoy this story, please click the like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories. Thank you for watching and see you on the next video.